Good morning, Anambra. Good morning to you watching us wherever you are. You're welcome to our flagship program. Good morning, Anambra. Well, we're talking, starting first with our newspaper review. My name is Ajuluchuku Okabwe. How are you doing this morning? Well, we have a lot to talk about on our dailies this morning. But before we run into that, I have my guest already seated here that will be looking into what we have to talk about this morning. But before that, I introduce them or let the cat out of the bag. Let us just take a short break. When we come back, you definitely get to meet them, and then the show begins. Don't go anywhere. The show to commence. Glad to still have you stay with us. And in the studio with me this morning is our newspaper review analyst. We have with me Emendi Ezenago, who is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Emendi.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
That's good. Abade. And also we have Izuchukwu Osakwe, who is also a public affairs analyst. Izuchukwu, how are you doing?
I'm okay. Good morning.
Glad to have you here. And
Yes,
quickly, we don't have much, but let's begin to delve into the dailies as we have them. You can walk up to any vendor stand around you and pick up these dailies and then read the stories we have here, because we're just going to be touching the front banner and then the stories that we have for you on the front pages. Let's get down with the nitty-gritty of what we have for you this morning. On the Daily Times, the banner headline is screaming, price hike, fuel price hike, brutal assault on Nigerians. That's coming from PDP. Says Tinubu, APC have lost governance, relevance in governance. Petrol price increase will worsen poverty among Nigerian workers. That's coming from TUC. And also NLC accuses presidential aid of amnesia falsehood maintains position on petrol price. We have also here NEC to governors submit report on state policy by September 9th. And then the rider there is saying direct states to submit details of damages caused by flooding on Monday. And we also have there federal government calls for enhanced leadership, operational efficiency in federal hospitals. That is very, very important, because our medical facilities are nothing to write home about. We also have at the mass of the Daily Times, corps members should expect increased allowance soon. That's coming from the NYSC DG. AFC 6 on, unified action in addressing northern challenges. Northern Nigeria challenges, fuel hike, price hike. Afenifere urges federal government to order NNPCL to reverse itself. Well, Naira hit 6 months low on amid volatility on dollar liquidity woes. We keep hearing this issue of our Naira and the rest of it all. But then, let's talk on this fuel price hike, which is, according to the PDP, it's brutal assault on Nigerians. Sincerely speaking, nobody knows what the current price is, because NNPC seem to be telling us a different story. NLC are saying that the price is too much, and then even Dangote is telling us that he is not even in charge of the regulating the actual price of the sale of petroleum, you understand, right now as it stands in Nigeria. And what's your take on this, Osakwe?
If you look at how things are going right now, you know that things are not really going smooth. But things can be done. There are things that should have been done that were, overlooked Because, you know, NNPC waking up one day and then hiking the price used to be around 600 or thereabouts. But then all of a sudden we are seeing 855 naira, 897 naira.
So people say they bought at different locations at 1,405
Naira.
naira.
That's other private, filling stations.
Yeah.
We are talking about NNPC right now. You know, the fact that NNPC hiked their price from 600 to about, 800 and something, almost 900, gives them, reason to also hike theirs. It shows something is going on. But nobody is saying the truth. The NNPC is not transparent. They are not telling us exactly what is happening. You know, from denial, they used to say that, way back then, they said, it's weather, it's the weather that's causing the fuel scarcity and all that. And then all of a sudden, they admitted to, owing backlogs and all that. NNPC should just, NNPCL rather, should come out plain and, tell the public exactly what is going on. Let us know what to expect, because this price hike now will definitely affect every damn thing in the society right now. Yeah. The price hike will transcend to all other areas. Transport and food is going to be hit the most. Yeah. Because, there are sections of the country that do not farm. Where we get the farm produce from, we have to transport them to where they don't farm. This is going to affect the prices, and it's going to cause more people to slide into poverty. What is the government doing? It shouldn't live this way. It
shouldn't be this way. But at the same time, while you're having the issue of fuel price hike, COP members yet to go for service will be rejoicing with this new story about increments in their allowances that is coming from the NYSC DG. Emandi, I hope you're not thinking of going to wear the khaki in order to be part of those that will be collecting this increase. Will you say kudos to the Nigerian government for deeming it necessary to increase the allowance of core members amidst this current hardship we are having in this country?
First of all, kudos to them, but at the end of the day, another thing that we should ask ourselves is increasing these allowances. How do they cope with the economic effect or the economic situation of the country? Because it is true that the allowances according to the allowance will be increased according to the DG. Now, if these allowances be increased, how will they be able to still survive? Coming to the things of the high rate of food, the high rate of transportation and the rest of them. But in as well as we are still going through some economic challenges, I still give it a kudos to the federal government for considering the fact that these are young people and they need to survive by increasing their allowances, as well as also how, because of the way they increased our minimum wage. So I give them kudos. It's a very welcome development. They have done so well in that aspect, and I believe that other sectors should also take the method that the federal government used. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to the next paper for review this morning, and that's the Punch newspaper. The banner headline is still screaming, petrol scarcity. NNPCL bars independent marketers amid surging prices. And then the rider there is saying 3 PMS vessels arrive. Transport fares jump as major marketers raise their fuel price. And we have at the mast of the Punch newspaper, NEC fears poor harvest as flooding kills 205. Nigeria's economy has stagnated. That's talking about Bill Gates. Shetima inaugurates $115 million West Africa container terminal upgrade in Rivers State. And we also have the Abure rejects Otis 29-man peace panel. Nigeria police will torture, kill me if I surrender. That's talking about wanted Britain. And then we have arms interrogation. Federal government declares emergency in Onne Port. State police neck to brainstorm on 32 state reports. We have PDP shifts National Working Committee meeting over Governor Wike's tension. Well, a lot has been brewing in that issue, talking about the PDP. But now, let's see what's still on this fuel issue before we go to the Nigeria's economy as stipulated by Bill Gates. NNPCL bars independent marketers amid surging prices. I think this should be the job of the DPR here because they are the regulatory body when it has to do with fixing of prices. Now, it seems that NNPC seems to have their hands really, really full because the price of the commodity seems to be higher than when we were even subsidizing under the last administration. Because with subsidy, in the last administration, we were buying fuel for less than 200 naira. I think 190-something naira pump price or thereabouts. The highest you could see around was 205 thereabouts. But now that the NNPCL have now entered an agreement with Dangote Refinery, why are we still having this price at that 855 naira or 65 naira as stipulated by the NNPC? What's your take on that?
I would say the tanking of the naira has a lot to do about that. You know, way back then when we used to buy at 197, 205, you know, then dollar was not this. I think dollar was roughly around 700 then. Now it's more than double that now. So it will definitely tell. So landing costs, I think there was one headline way back some weeks ago that talks about landing costs being 1,117 naira. You know, and, you know, at least thanks to, you know, the dollar being, you know, playing around 1650 from then till now. If it has gone beyond that, landing costs would have still gone above that because, you know, our economy does not function independently outside the dollar. So the tanking of the naira, it's exactly what is causing all this.
That's for imported.
Yes. Well, rolling out soon. It has not hit the market. I think there are tankers are already there waiting to be loaded and all that. Until we see that, before we will know what's going to happen.
Because there is something about the mechanism of Nigerian pricing. Yeah. When things goes up,
yeah,
coming down is very, very difficult. And sincerely speaking, these are areas where I believe the NNPCL should begin to address so as to alleviate the suffering of the masses.
Yeah.
Well, and Nigeria's economy is, according to Bill Gates, has stagnated. Bill Gates seems to want to offer, will I say, an olive branch, or will I say aid to Nigerians based on this. But my concern has always been, I hope he's not coming with his GMO grains and food and stuff like that, even though we know there is a whole lot of hunger in the land. What's your take on that, Emandi, based on what Bill Gates is talking about our economy?
Anyway, whatever is the statement there, that the economy is stagnated and the rest of them, is not is not far from the truth. And we know that this our economy, to stabilize our economy now is very easy. But our problem is our leaders don't want to do the needful. To stabilize our economy, I think the few major areas where they have to work on is just work on the dollar exchange, the inflow and outflow of petrol, food security, and human development. Once these four sectors or four areas are handled, you find out that...
What about insecurity?
You find out that, hold on, sir. You find out that definitely that they will, that the economy will come up, will come to a normal way for a normal or an average Nigerian to survive. And you know that the economy is, we clamor and cry that the economy is bad, that is worldwide and the rest of them. But Nigeria's economy is even was. Because even Bill Gates making the statement, I believe that he, and I also want to say that he should not use it as an avenue to, although bring in some materials which he has always brought in the past, and to only them knows or to come in and then decide on a negotiation on the business that he wants to bring into the country. But it's quite unfortunate that most of these things that they claim to have bring into the national, we in the Nigerians, we don't see them, neither do we experience them. So him making this statement, I believe that if you are making that statement, you also issue out some methods that will be used to caution this bad economy that we have in this country. But our leaders are not going through that. All they care about is just about themselves and the rest of them. So let's keep our fingers crossed and know if there's any point that he's making towards that.
Well, our fingers are crossed, like what we say. Let's quickly see what we have on the Vanguard newspaper, and we shall be doing that together with the This Day newspaper. And quickly, the banner, the headline is talking about petrol price hike. Nasima, LCCI, NECA worry over jobs and economy. And we also have there at the mass of it, power generation reverses gains, dips by 45.4% to 2,2.753 megawatts. Nenadi Usman emerges interim chairperson of Labour Party. And we also have China to help Nigeria fight money laundering, terrorism, financing. Shetima inaugurates $115 million upgraded West Africa container terminal. And we quickly, let's see what we have on the This Day newspaper. Still talking about petrol price hike. PDP, labor unions, Afenifere, CSO, fume, lambast federal government. And the rider there is saying 1,000 naira per litre brutal assault on Nigerians, says opposition party. NLC TUC demand reversal, insists its breach on agreement with government. LCCI Nasima OPS orders express concern over effect on businesses. At Zenith Bank trade seminar, stakeholders advocate increased investment in non-oil exports. And we also have Labour Party sacks. Labour Party sacks. Can I even see that clearly? Julius Abure-led NEC sets up 29-member caretaker committee. Quickly, this issue of the Labour Party coming to tell us that, not Labour Party, the NLC coming to tell us that the increment in the fuel price isn't what the discussion they had with federal government. The minimum wage they fought to 70,000 naira has not been implemented. Even some states are even saying that they can't even implement it. But fuel price, at whatever price they peg it, that's coming from the federal government, NNPCL, will definitely cut across every state in Nigeria. So it's a case of telling me who is actually fooling who here. You've implemented your minimum wage. I mean, you've already passed it, but it has not been implemented. But the moment this fuel hits the road, whether from Dangote or from wherever, it's going to be sold at 1,000 naira or thereabout, 850 naira or whatever. And every part of Nigeria will feel it. But for minimum wage, those that are in the private sector are not going to be beneficial to it. But this fuel is affecting every person. Yeah. What do you think the NLC needs to do? Is it a case of telling the federal government, let's reverse it? Or, in your own opinion, what do you think should be done in order to alleviate these sufferings from Nigeria?
You know, in NLC, telling the federal government to reverse it, the federal government is known for, renegading on their promises and whatever agreement they've been having with NLC way back. So it's not new that, the new minimum wage has not been implemented, and then, this current increase now is going to cause a lot of hardship And, you know, the NLC coming out to say things that sometimes I wonder if they actually mean what they say. Because most times if they go into agreements and then they come outside, you know, they will come out and back and back and back. Once they go, you know, into closed door meetings and they come outside and they come out softened than the rest, you know, they don't have a stand. Honestly, the NLC doesn't have a stand.
It's like they don't have the interest of Nigerians.
It's not as if people do not have the interest of Nigeria. They do not have a stand. The leadership of the NLC, they do not have a stand. What they do, they come outside and back, and then the masses will support them. Yes, you are fighting for us. Once they go in there, only God knows what they discuss. The next thing, they will come outside and then they will agree with whatever the government has said. You know, things are difficult. You are telling us to live within our means, to cut, our cost and all that. But the federal government has not been seen doing that. None of the state government has cut, although the National Assembly, I think they did something like cutting their salaries and all that.
It has not been effective. Have you seen the effect of it?
For where we didn't see any. You know, all these things, they are just, I think they are mocking the masses. They are mocking the suffering of the masses. The government should do what is necessary. You know, this fuel price is the only thing that I know now. If you bring it down, it's going to cut across all sectors. It's going to reduce this suffering. There's a company that prints for me in Asaba. You know, for a while I've not patronized them. So I had somewhere cheaper, you know, how the economy goes. So, you know, now, you know, I had the current company I patronized had a little issue. I said, let me go back to this. I called them. They've been shut down since April. I said, what's happening? They said, running cost, diesel. You know, a lot of businesses have been affected. Businesses are shutting down and all that. So,
and that is putting more strain on the economy. Because people are out of jobs.
You know, that company employs at least, if I'm not mistaken, over 40 people. But look at it, it's shut down. Now, unemployment has been increased by, a little percentage. The government should know what they are doing. I don't believe the NLC can actually effect change. You know, the NNPCL, the DPR, the body that is saddled with the responsibility of controlling the price should know what to do. They say they don't pay subsidy no more, but then we still hear rumors that subsidies are being paid. Subsidies are being paid in secret, yet we are buying at these exorbitant prices. It's killing.
Now, Emandi, NLC on one part is acting as an opposition. PDP and Labour Party. Labour Party, in one of the papers in Vanguard specifically said they now have a new interim chairperson of Labour Party. Are these opposition parties actually doing the job of opposition in putting pressure on the ruling party, in your own case, in trying to see if they can actually put a stance to the fight against what the government is doing to Nigerians? Are they doing a good job?
Well, I believe that the ruling party is more powerful than them. Then if you want to bring up the activities of the opposition, I believe that in the Senate they have more than 30 of them that are in the opposition party. Or you can say that they are maybe, let's put them the minorities. When they come together, they can form a very strong opposition. But you find out that at the end of the day, that these people see romances with the federal government, and at the end of the day, they agree to whatever thing that the federal government proposes. I could remember when PDP was in power, this APC that are in government now, they formed a very strong opposition against the ruling party. You know, to form this opposition is not easy. You don't just go up and just wake up one morning and say you're the opposition. There are some certain persons, or there are some people that are at the background that you need to bring forth to help fight this. And you know, even this APC government, even I believe that they have decided to bring deaf ear to whatever opposition that is being brought to them. And they decided to be strong over whatever thing that Nigerians are crying or saying against them. I believe that they came out so strong and they don't want anything to deter them from whatever idea or from whatever decision that decided to make concerning the Nigeria and Nigerians. So I believe that the Labour Party and the PDP are not strong enough. For them to be strong to fight this, the ruling party, you know, they have to come together and form a very strong opposition and then hit them. So without that, I believe that the ruling party are not even bothered about this opposition because they believe that they are not strong enough to attack them. But what they have to do is just come together and fight them, just as the current president did when PDP was in power. He came out as an opposition and they were stating facts. You know, you cannot just come out and tell us, see. You, in this, if you want to convince someone to agree to your position, you give the person some facts and figures so that the person will agree. So if you are telling Nigerians that this fuel price is not high, you give us facts and figures, how these people embezzle social amount of money and the rest of them. It will convincingly make other people to believe that these people don't need to be there in power. So they are not forming a very strong opposition, but they have to come together and fight the party.
Thank you for that submission. Quickly, let's go to the next paper for review, which is the Nation newspaper. And the banner headline is talking, queues persist, commuters stuck despite petrol price hike. And you see NLC, presidential aide disagree over claim. Man, LCCI list effect, NBA TUC kick. Policeman, 12 others killed in Imo, Niger Plateau attacks. At the mast of the Nation newspaper, Aburi clashes with Oti Obi over setting up of interim ESCO. NEC gives FCT, Kwara 3 others Monday deadline on state police. Chinese firm to build Lekki-Ekpe link bridge. Sanwo-Olu signs pact. We also have Lagos extend work from home policy. Police school squad for Abuja. Quickly, let's see what we have on The Guardian this morning. Outrage as high costs of petrol scarcity pushes businesses to brink. That's the banner headline of The Guardian newspaper. And you have there Tinubu, whose Chinese investors says Africa holds opportunities for growth. NEC sets deadline for state police reports, releases 3 billion flood relief funds. Obasanjo Anyoku orders lament impunity, poor leadership. Federal government reviews prisoners feeding allowance by 50%, raises budget to 45 billion. Buhari, northern governors, Saudi Arabia condemn Yobe killings. Gates, talking about Bill Gates, warns of rising misery, says Nigeria spends less per capita on its people. Well, coming from a foreigner, that's interesting. Then you have pictures of the Zenith Bank and then you have over half of sponsored bills in National Assembly last 1 year recycled. Wow, that's interesting. Quickly, let's see what we have here. And there's this Chinese company building the Lekki-Ekpe link, and the president recently going to China for bilateral trade. We all know the importance of bilateral trade, but then we are not forgetting in a hurry. Not too long ago, a Chinese company was, seizing our assets abroad. Sometimes you begin to wonder how quick has this issue, you understand, been resolved to the extent that we are now seeing Lagos-Ekpe link bridge now being done by a Chinese company, and our president now telling us that there is opportunities for Chinese investors rather, in this part of the world. What will you take? Is that something to really smile on, for, or should we be wary of dealing with this kind of people that go, especially when we renegade on our own part of the contract?
Yeah, I would say, the Ogun State, Chinese company, whatever, yeah. It's just a business gone bad. That's what I would say, and notwithstanding, we wouldn't just, put away China when it comes to, business. China is big. When you are big, you are big. So they've always been our go-to place when it comes to, development. So I won't write them off. So it's, disputes come in businesses, so it should be resolved, and I believe it's going to be resolved. But, the China link bridge, the Ekpe link bridge and all that. Lekki and Ekpe link bridge, and then our president in China seeking for, bilateral agreement. What happened to the, currency swap? Now, let's go back to that. That currency swap, if it had gone exactly as, as written on the papers, it would have been a deal breaker for us when it comes to, doing business with the Chinese people. You know what it means to deal on the local currency, not depending on the dollar. It's going to reduce our dependence on the dollar, and it's going to, stabilize our currency. Yeah. But then, I think there's a headline that's talked about, reviewing the local currency swap. I think they should
revisit it.
Exactly, so that our trades with the Chinese people will, we ease on our dependence on the dollar. So we shouldn't write Chinese people off. China has always been our go-to place. In fact,
even the world go-to place when it has to do with production.
Production, exactly. So we shouldn't write them off.
Now, Emendi, we are not writing China off. We know their capacity and we know what to do. But at the same time, when you are beginning to woo investors into your country to do business, you need to make the ground fertile enough. In one of the papers here, you can see in the Guardian newspaper, Buhari, northern governors, Saudi Arabia condemned those 34 farmers that were killed in Yobe. Insecurity is ravaging Nigeria and most part of Nigeria. And now you're telling us that you're bringing the Chinese to come and do business here. Would they be walking around with security operatives guarding each Chinese engineer or whatever? Because first and foremost, you need to tackle insecurity. And insecurity has not been tackled to the extent that investors will now begin to see Nigeria as a business destination. What's your take on that?
Our major challenge in this country, one of the major challenges we have in this country is the insecurity. Now, coming to that, the aspect of the insecurity, another aspect let's also talk about some foreign investors that came to Nigeria, started doing business or businesses in Nigeria. They began to grow. They gave most Nigerians employment, but today they are no longer in Nigeria. Not fully or not exactly because of insecurity, but because of the bad economy. So these are the few things that you have to consider. Bringing the Chinese back to the nation will not be a good idea if you've not resolved the problem or the situations here at home. Most times I keep asking myself that there is no way you stay up to 3-4 months without hearing that our president traveled. Then you keep asking, all this traveling that he's traveling, what does he learn? Or is it that after learning he doesn't implement them in Nigeria? Or he's just going to all these travels for fun fair or what? You cannot even tell. Or you say, okay, he attended this is what they discussed, and he brought it to Nigeria and implemented it in Nigeria just to ensure that the economy keeps flowing, and Nigerians are living happily. But he doesn't do that. So for him to discuss whatever thing that he has with Chinese or China, or as the case may be, he should first of all tackle the insecurity and also work on the economy, because we know that not just coming, that maybe at the end of the day they may not even stay long. And moreover, Nigerians are known for going for bridging whatever contract. This is not the first time. It's just that China decided to teach them a lesson concerning the Ogun State. That's not the first time. Nigeria, if you go through you will see on the dailies where Nigerians breach every contract that they have. They even breach contracts between the state and the federal government, let alone the federal government and foreigners. So it's not just bringing them in. They should stick with the contract or whatever contract they have with the foreigners. Give them a good environment, and also let us stabilize the economy. For example, there are some foreign companies that we know that are no longer in this country. I don't want to advertise for any of them, but we know that there are so many of them that have shut down and moved out, and which keeps increasing the rate of insecurity. The rate of unemployment in this country. So,
thank you for that. Quickly, let's take the three papers all at a go so that we can save our time. And the next paper for review this morning is the Daily Trust newspaper, and we are still talking about the banner headline: petrol price hike, transport fare surge 50% nationwide. I think I experienced that this morning. Commuters express worry, protests break out in Delta. Inflation may rise further. That's coming from MAN. Afenifere PDP demand reversal of increase. TUC asks government to rescind decision. Tinubu didn't bargain fuel price for minimum wage. Presidency tells NLC. Bajamia Abila can't take over National Assembly's oversight role. That's coming from Reps. State police submit report in 6 days. NEC tells 4 states. And the federal capital territory. Nigeria, complex but not difficult to govern. That's coming from Olusegun Obasanjo. Gunmen attack two Plateau communities, kill 7. Banks loan to private sector hits 2.3 trillion in 1 month. That's coming from reports. Africa, good place for investment, Tinubu tells Chinese investors. Insecurity in our region must end now. That's coming from ACF, Northern Leaders. Quickly, let's see what we have on the Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune has NBA, Nasima, LCCI, MAN, PDP faults petrol price hike as the banner headline. And then the writers there saying, this is a brutal assault on Nigerians. That's coming from the PDP. Hike may impact manufacturing and force SMEs to shut down. Cause further job losses, MAN LCCI warns. NBA calls for immediate reconsideration. And then we have at the master of it all, North is ready for constitutional changes. That's coming from ACF. And we have also LP crisis, Nenadi Usman named as caretaker chairman of the party. Abure Kicks says Abia expended stakeholders meeting unconstitutional. Perpetrators of Yobe killing will be brought to justice. That's coming from Tinubu. And then we have cholera. 342,000 cases, 2,400 deaths recorded this year. That's coming from the World Health Organization. Gunmen kill 11 in Plateau communities. Bill Gates announces 2.8 billion investment in Nigeria. Nigeria, China move to revive local currency swap. Let's see how it goes. And lastly, for review this morning is the Blueprint newspaper. Flooding submits inventory of destruction September 9. NEC orders states. And we have at the rider, issues state FCT deadline on state police. Dangote Industries emerged Nigeria's most valuable brand for 7th time. DSS spokesman Afunaya redeployed. And we have on sports Paralympics. Nwaogu defies all odds, wins silver medal. Ajero lied on minimum wage deal over pump price hike. Presidency. That's very interesting. Not afraid of constitution review. Restructuring rather, that's coming from the Arewa Consultative Forum, saying there that claims past exercises targeted at the region, apologizes for northern leaders' failure, urges speedy action on insecurity, rising cost of living. Sometimes when you read these papers, you begin to wonder, where were these northern leaders when they were in power for the length of time they were in power? But then that's not what we'll be talking about. Let's quickly see what we have here before we wrap up. 3,500 inmates on death row nationwide. Gunmen attack too, we've seen that. Quickly, let's get to see, there was an interesting story that I wanted us to talk about. Insecurity, yeah, Nigeria complex but not difficult to govern. That was coming from our former president. How true is that?
Well, coming from
with all the complexities and everything that we are experiencing now, how can you put that together?
Well, Obasanjo is an example of being there, done that kind of person.
Yeah.
Because, you know, as a military president, he has experienced Nigeria. Now, and as a civilian president for 8 years, he has governed Nigeria. So he is talking from experience. If you ask me, he is talking from experience. Nigeria is complex for you, but governing Nigeria shouldn't be difficult. As he said it,
yeah.
It should not be difficult because these are the only thing I think we have is just clash of interest. Pitching the North against the South. Every time there's always this group of people that want this and these people want that, and then another thing, our elites they are something else.
But you can see the confession that we are hearing from the Northern Elders Forum. I'm telling us specifically that restructuring.
They are not afraid of.
That if need be, that restructuring should be placed on the table, that they will probably have to look into it, because sincerely speaking, the high cost of living is biting every person, and I think it's harder in the North because the food basket of the nation is there, and then insecurity is making them very, not making them even earn the money they're meant to earn from the little subsistence farming that they are doing. But now, trying to rope that insecurity and the complexity of governing Nigeria, state police, how well can state policing bring to an end or reduce to the barest minimum the insecurity we are having in this country? Quickly, Emande.
Well, the state policing will help to bring down insecurity to its barest.
Is it achievable? That's another question, because the IG at some point said it was not possible. Or rather, we are not ready for it. That there are still so many things that we actually need to, to put in place before we can talk about state policing.
In this state policing, it has advantage and some disadvantage, or rather some disadvantages. But the advantages are more than the disadvantage, in the sense that with this state policing, apart from reducing unemployment to a certain percentage, it will be a very welcome development, whereby a man from Abia State will be the one will serve as a police in each state. And most of these people...
How does that unify us as a country?
Hold on, sir. We are fighting insecurity.
Yeah.
These are the people that know, just like the local vigilantes, they knows the in and out of the environment. So you cannot say, for example, someone like me, and you put me, let's say, in a place like Obo in Anambra State or in Awa. I've not known the terrain of the community. So this is one of the advantages to cut on this. And moreover, it was this APC government that allowed insecurity to spread to this extent. When it was so late, when you can manage it, they couldn't. They didn't. Not even that they couldn't. They didn't. They allowed it. It spread. Okay, if you go to the south have the militants. If you come to the east, we have the IPOB and the rest of them. If you go to the north, these are the bandits, the Boko Harams, and the rest of them. So, and apart from that, we don't know how they want to use and fight these insecurities. Because tomorrow they will tell us that they cannot fight these people. But if it is to fight harmless protesters, they will be able to come out and catch them and shoot them. So the only thing is just that the federal government is not telling us the truth in this insecurity issue. The IG, the police, they are also not telling us the truth. The military, they are not telling us the truth. In fact, all our security personnel are not telling us the truth. Because if actually the federal government wants to fight this insecurity, they know how to fight it. Because how can you tell me that most police officers and the rest of them, they go for peacekeeping in another nations, do that successfully, and come back home, and they cannot tackle their own internal issues.
Thank you so much. I can see the passion at which you're talking about this insecurity. Sincerely speaking, if I had the power, I would have made you one of the chief of the apparatus to fight this insecurity stuff. But that's the much you can take the press review this morning. I want to thank you, Mandy Ezenagu, Public Affairs, for availing your time to be with us this morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Adeluchukwu. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and Uzochukwu Osakwe, thank you for making. Izuchukwu, for making yourself available to us. So thank you so much for being here. It's always a pleasure. Well, we're still going to be continuing. On the other side, we'll be having our discussion segments. Don't go anywhere. You can just go to any newspaper stand and pick up your dailies and read and get to know what's actually happening in Nigeria. I'm still Adeluchukwu Okabwe. I'll be right back.